Boom. All right, y'all. It's that time once again. It is time for XPod 97. And man, this show is heating up. I'm Mega Ran, and as always, this is Marcos. What's good, bro?
Not much, man. Woo-hoo-hoo! Man.
We got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about, but let's get to it.
Gotta get to it. All right. So I'm gonna give y'all the script, and then we're gonna introduce our esteemed guest. X-Men 97 revisits the iconic era of the 1990s as the X-Men, a band of mutants, use their uncanny gifts to protect a world that hates and fears them, are challenged like never before, forced to face a dangerous and unexpected new future.
The XPod 97 will track those adventures weekly to you, your XPod.
Yeah, here we are. It is episode 8. We are down to the wire. We're down to the end. Marcos, what are we gonna do when this show is over, man? Because
we got a couple things in mind. You know, I think we should continue bringing amazing guests. I think we should do stuff like pick out our favorite episodes from the original, screen those, talk about those like they're fresh content. You know, and basically do what we do. I think our fan base likes it. I like it. I listen to us. I'm one of our biggest fans. So let's continue doing it.
All right. Well, I guess that we got to keep doing it. So we're going to watch the old series, maybe watch some of those old movies. You know, we're gonna relive the X-Men mania is not going to stop. By the way, sir, I see a nice little hoodie over there. You got that's a nice hoodie.
Oh yeah. You know, I don't know if you guys missed it, but we put out some merch, and I decided to rock mine because, you know, we're down to the 3 episodes. If you could get those, if you're a member of the pod, Ren, where can we get such fine wares?
You can get fine merchandise like this on our merch site, which is at, I believe, spring.com. You just look up XPod 97 on there. Every piece of merch is crafted as soon as you order it. It's not like McDonald's where the food is sitting under the the heat lamp. This is freshly made right when you order it. And he said that hoodie's pretty comfy, so I'm gonna order one as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, let's do it. It's a nice hoodie.
All right, so I want to introduce our guest, and then we can get started on where we are. Now, we have had so many guests on this show. And we have different types of guests. We have guests that watch the show. We have guests that enjoyed the show. But we have not had a guest who is actually on the show. So I would like to present to you for the very first time from the beautiful city of Sao Paulo, Brazil, a Brazilian-born, New York/LA-based actor and filmmaker who fluently speaks and acts in Portuguese, Spanish, and English. I want you all to make noise, as much noise as you can, for our Sunspot, our Roberto, Gui Agustini. What's up?
Whoa, that was an introduction. Thank you. Thank you guys. Mega Ran, Marcos, this is awesome.
It's good to see you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you guys. It's such an honor to be. I didn't know I was the first one, from the cast to be in the show.
Yeah, yeah. We've tried to. I wasn't sure if I actually even wanted to do that because it opens, like, I didn't want to put you in a weird position where, like, okay, now I want you to rate the episode from 1 to 10 or, things like that. So I wanted it to be strictly from a fan's perspective. So I just want to let you know that we're not going to ask you to, like, pick your favorites or anything wild like that.
Or what's to come in 9 and 10. I'm like,
no. Well, that's actually my first question is what's to come in 9 and 10.
Hold on, let me get my pen and paper. Hold on, we want to write it down.
Feel free.
We want to record it,
and maybe a couple blogs will pick it up, and it'll be great.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I want to say first of all, thanks for being here, and we all have some questions, so we're going to alternate with those. But I always like to start with the beginning. So with that, when I ask our guests, it's always like, what's your history with X-Men, blah, blah, blah. So I just want to know, like, as a working actor, like, what's it like when you get the call? Like, what's the process? Walk us from not having the part to playing the part. Like, how's that process work for voice actors?
Sure. But first, I want to say like this was the best introduction. Like that, I mean that music, like that
Oh,
was amazing. Are you guys the ones singing?
that was
No,
me. Did
that's
That's you,
him.
Mega
That's
Man.
all him.
Wow, that was like I was
Yeah, I
so
do a
like it
lot of
was
like fandom based music, and this one I did for X-Men before the series. I was like, oh, this works perfectly.
oh,
So
that's
then we started
before the
finishing it up.
series.
It's called
Damn.
Mutant Music. It's streaming right now. Bing.
It is. There you go. I mean, I gotta go check it out on your. Do you have it on, as a clip on the
Yes,
Instagram?
it's on my Instagram. I will send you a
Yeah.
link. It's also
Yeah, I gotta share it. It was so
thank you.
cool. So
Oh, I
awesome.
appreciate
But
that.
anyway, and then like it ended, and then I kind of screamed. I thought it was gonna, and I don't know if that messed up you guys were. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know. Hopefully that
No,
was
no, it's
fine.
fine.
But
It's
I
long.
was too excited. That song was like,
It's
oh, I'm coming
it's
on.
such a hype, I thought it was a good hype thing to kind of get people started as we get into the mood of the show and like what we're about to
I
talk
mean, it
about.
was so
So
surprising and so entertaining to watch. So
thank you.
anyway, to your question, yeah. So like as most of my voiceover specifically auditions, I've been fortunate for the last couple of years to audition a lot, not animation per se, but just commercial voiceover, right? So I just like I record them, I send them out through my agents or manager, and most often I don't hear anything, so I just keep going. I'm like, I don't put too much pressure into it. um, and differently from most of my castmates mates that I've learned recently, I had no clue this was for X-Men '97. I'm a little bit ashamed, but it's the truth. Like it did say Roberto da Costa, and I did not know. Uh, Wait, are you guys still there?
Yeah, we just muted you. We just muted ourselves so you can have the
I
full
wanted to give you
Oh, okay,
platform.
okay. Because
We're
all of a
there.
sudden,
We're
because
here.
yeah, I
We're
was like,
here.
okay,
we're all here. We're all here.
cool, cool, cool. So I oh my, sorry, I was
So
trying to
when you
thought.
heard Roberto da Costa,
Yeah. Roberto da Costa was in the script and stuff, but I did not put two and two together. I did not know him as Roberto da Costa, and I knew very little about Sunspot, to be very honest. And so I auditioned like I thought it was just an animation project, and I auditioned for it twice. First at the fall of 2021, didn't hear anything, and then I think it was March or April 2022, I get the same audition. I remembered, I think the sides were literally the same or very similar, the description, because it did say Brazilian. They wanted a version with a Brazilian accent, and then another one as my native, which now, like, I've been here for a long time, worked on my accent for also a long time, so I guess I sound most American than anything else. So I did those two versions. I do remember they added a parenthesis of the name Elijah, I guess just to try to confuse us even more. And I auditioned, I sent it out again. I was like, okay, here we go. And 2 months later, I got an email from my agent. It wasn't a call; it was just an email. But my agent was awesome and funny, and it was like, congratulations, Guy, you're going to be a superhero. And then that's how it happened. And I was very shocked because I didn't remember that audition per se. I didn't even, I don't know, realize it was a superhero, and definitely I didn't know it was X-Men. So I was excited. Obviously, I was very happy, and then I was like, just wanted to know so badly what it is that I had auditioned for. But as I continued, reading the email, I had the offer. If I wanted to accept the offer, I was like, yeah, of course, anything. But then I read X-Men '97. I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And I was very, very surprised. I've been saying, like, at the time I was actually in New York, at a friend's place. I was doing a different gig, and I was staying at a friend's place. And so it was early in the morning. He was sleeping, so I couldn't make too much noise. I couldn't scream, but I really wanted to. And then obviously I couldn't say anything to anybody. So I had to held that for like 2 years.
2 years. Yo, that's wild.
Man, that is amazing. First of all, the way that you found out about it is awesome. And the fact that you had an audition twice, that I guess that's an industry thing, but congratulations. You are killing it, in my
Thank you.
opinion.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, what I thought it was very interesting. Yeah, I mean, as you said, like in the industry, we usually have what we know as to be called callbacks, right? So for for most of on camera and stuff, like these days depends. Sometimes they'll cast people right off the first tape, but usually you go for a second time. But what I found very interesting is that some of the other actors had to go in like in person for like, almost like a camera test, like a booth test, I guess, as your second or third. I think there was somebody who went in like three times. So for me, it was just so nice that I didn't have to have like that. It's such a pressure for us actors, because we know we're so close, but there's probably two, three, or five other people. They're in between, and so it was just nice that I sent it out into the ether, and then I just got the email saying that I got it. So it was very, very nice.
Oh, that's pretty dope. All right, Marcos, you got a question? Uh-oh, you're
Oh,
muted.
you're muted.
Hold on. So
There you go.
it's
You
good though.
bet. You bet.
So my question is more basic, interview style. Like, what made you get into voice acting in combination to acting? And by the way, I have seen your work before. You were awesome in a couple of things, including The Time Traveler's Wife,
Ah,
which I'm going to link back to uh, X-Men 97 later on, because you kind of have a sort of a reunion of sorts.
sure.
But continue. So yeah, that was pretty much my
Sure.
question. How did you get into voice acting, and what led you down that path?
Yeah, mostly was with the intention of getting an agent, and I'll explain more. So when I was before I moved to New York to attend an acting conservatory, I lived in Miami, and that's where my professional career started, mostly with Spanish television and commercials, because I speak, like Meg Ren said, fluently Spanish as well as Portuguese, and so when my agent represented me in Florida, had worked for the agency that I'm still with today, CSD in New York. And so when she knew I was moving, she was like, "Well, let me know, and I'll link you up with the agent I was an assistant to there." But she knew I was going to attend an acting conservatory, which was very rigid, about like you working or auditioning. So it was a 2-year program. And so she recommended me to, because I'd booked a lot of commercials. I That's basically how I also really started. I was doing a lot of commercials, and didn't audition, I think, at all in South Florida for voiceovers. But she was like, get a voiceover reel, because it'll be easier for them to represent you in the commercial department. So that's literally why I got a commercial reel. And so I did it in Miami before I went to New York. And then I spent the 2 years in the conservatory. After I graduated, I reached out to her. Hey, I'm ready. She put me in contact, and then they took me in. And I guess the voiceover reel helped me. So I was with the commercial and the voiceover department. And so I just started audition for a lot of commercial voiceover, but mostly commercials. I don't remember if I ever auditioned for anything animation while I was in New York. Maybe once or twice, but very little. It was mostly a lot of Spanish-driven commercials. Sometimes some Portuguese, but that was not happening a lot back then. I think there's more now. And so that was the introduction. I booked a few commercials and stuff like that. I started doing I think once or twice I did dubbing, but it wasn't until after the pandemic that I moved to Los Angeles, and then I was moved to the departments here of the agency in Los Angeles, that I started to audition to much more animation stuff, and it was very interesting because I don't think it was anything related to me getting with the agency. Was that I was living at a friend's place who had introduced me to these two ladies, were good friends of his, and they like taught lessons in animation, and were very into the dubbing animation world. And I that was my very first animation class I've ever taken. Um, and then I started to audition for the voice animation projects, and that's literally how it happened. It wasn't anything planned or with I recently becoming good friends with Isaac, who voices Bishop. Which by the way, I was like, as I'm watching the opening, I was like, you guys have to have Isaac on the show. I'll mention it to
All
him.
right,
But
you got to
like,
make the connection then. For
I'll,
Yeah,
sure.
I'll,
yeah, we'll
I'll, I'll
definitely make
mention.
that happen.
I'll
Yeah.
mention it to him. I hope he's available, and that'd be really cool. He's an awesome guy, and he was recently telling me that differently from me, like he always wanted to do or be in this world, and I think he started in musical theater and stuff like that. But he really made the leap. Like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then he stopped, working and trying to get like on camera stuff. He just wanted to do voice work. So that's not my case. But I enjoy, I think I'm fortunate, obviously, with the languages and all of that. But that was like how the transition happened. And when had started auditioning through with my agency, I did get, I don't even know if I auditioned for it, but my very first animation project was, because I think it happened before I booked this, which was I did a surfer dude in Spidey and His Amazing Friends.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that. It was funny. I was like, I've heard this voice before, and I have children in my family, so I
Oh,
was
there
like,
you go.
wait a minute. And then I just for Shot in the Dark, and I was like, I knew he was in it. I knew he was in it. I heard this voice before, and it's cool. That's a very interesting story. There's some people that are friends and participants of the pod that might consider voice acting as something. So some of us are pushing for that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's a
Sure.
story for another day.
Sure.
One day.
There you go. But gotta keep pushing. Gotta keep
Gotta keep
pushing. But I mean, what I again, through my experience, what I always say, I think like the number one, obviously now with the way that the world's operating, one needs to be able to have a really good, kind of home booth or home studio to be able, right, to record. I mean, like, you guys have, very good quality, so you can send your auditions and even do remotely some of these gigs, right? So that's a requirement. But I always tell people, like, which was my path. Like, I didn't take a lot of lessons. I didn't like get connected to a lot of people, and of course, it's always a good way, which is what I've done with the on-camera acting. But like, the number one thing you need to have is a voiceover reel, and that's not the hardest thing for voice. You can pay people, or you can just, if you understand, editing and stuff, you just put together, because you need to get people to represent you. I think like the voice world is even more niche to get in, and though I don't know any of the open uh, sites to the public where you can, and I know they exist where you can submit on your own, like, to projects. But just like on camera, the higher end stuff, it's only they have a lock, and you got to be represented by an agency or a manager who can get you those auditions. You're not going to get them on your own
For
via
sure.
these websites.
It's similar with music. As a musician, I noticed the same thing. Like, certain doors become open to you once you have management, an agency representing you. There are certain doors that will will open once you
Yeah.
have those pieces in place as far as
Correct.
representation.
Correct.
So yeah, it's all the same. Entertainment all over.
It's all this, right?
Similar
But
paths.
I
Yeah.
imagine too, like, for those just like with music, or really wanted to do this, then you have to start putting yourself out there, and so you create the stuff, you put your reels together, then you get in these sites that you can do it on your own, then you start booking maybe smaller things, or you do these, like, all kinds of projects, so you can have material and you can create momentum. And then you also, as I like to call it, like, you have ammunition when you reach out to an agency or a manager, when you finally meet people, like, hey, I've done this, I've done that, like, look at all these samples, instead of just wanting to do it, right? We have to put a lot of time
Gotta
and
have that
and
proof of
action.
concept, as I say. So I'm glad you mentioned smaller roles. I want to ask you. We know you as Roberto. We know you from Time Traveler's Wife and Surfer Dude, apparently. But what's a role that you took that maybe didn't get a lot of shine, but that, like, you really, really, like, killed it, and you, like, wish more people knew about that role and that character?
Oh my God, that's such a hard question, because I don't know if I have it, to be very honest. Like,
Really? You don't have a favorite character that, like, kind of got, slept
Let's
on?
expand it to regular. It doesn't necessarily have to be voice acting. Like, just an
no,
experience
I'm
that.
not thinking about voice like that. Definitely not. I'm thinking
Definitely
about
not
it
voice
because
acting.
because
Okay.
I direct a lot of my projects. Mostly so far I've only created short films, and I've been directing and creating them for 10 years. And obviously one of my main goals, big goals, is to get to do my first feature. And I really love directing and acting. I mean, I started because of the acting, but I really fell in love with directing, and I've been studying it for years and all of that. So there's a lot of little projects that I've created that. But I'm just gonna say, during, like, I did my biggest movie in Brazil. That was the biggest role that I did, that actually premiered in the whole country, for like the whole, like, movie theaters in the entire country, the weekend of the pandemic. So you can imagine how frustrating that was, because literally we had 2 days and the world shut down. And that was, it was an exciting moment for me. And uh, it was my first major, feature film, being in the theater and all these things, and I had a, good supporting role. And yeah, so I just, that was great. Like, but I just wish we had, the longer run and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I will say, I just shot my last short film I did at the end of January. And I think it's the best work that I've done. I have such a beautiful story, and we're in editing now, and the post production process. So I am really excited for that project, for that role. I mean, there's so much, like, the production value that we were able to have, and the people that I was able to bring together. It's been so special. So I hope that one gives me a little ticket to bigger festivals, and it gets a little bit more, because the story is also so powerful, and so beautiful. And
Hey,
so
what's the name of that project?
it's called West Texas Home.
Okay.
It's a Texas story, and it's basically this interesting relationship between a gay couple, but the character that I play is bisexual. And so, differently from all the stories we've seen, he leaves his partner because he falls in love with the woman, and is going to move in, and have this new beginning. But the also very tricky the point of the story, or element of the story, is that his partner is also a father figure to him, because he took care of him after his
Mm.
mother passed when he was 17. So
Okay.
there's a lot of big themes in there. And yeah.
Oh
That
wow.
sounds like a good project. Share it with us when it's available, and we'll put it
Yeah,
out there to
definitely.
the
Thank you. I
internet.
appreciate it. I
Let's spread
appreciate
the
it.
word.
Once it's
I definitely
done,
gonna check that out.
I'll let you guys know.
All right. Okay. Now we got to get into our X-Men questions. You knew this was coming. So episode 9. No, I'm just playing. All right. So, no, let's talk about you playing a teenager in the show and things like that. Is that a different challenge, voice wise, being like, all right, you gotta play a teen, you gotta give a little more teen swagger, and things like that. Talk about the challenges that might come as an actor to playing younger,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, I think for me, I thought it was super fun. I think, like, in a way, my natural register, goes sounds younger. So I think it is actually, it's just easier for me, in a way. I actually enjoy more, like, so a lot of auditions that I've been getting, I like that. It's like I like to put on this different, like, tone of voice and go low, whatever, and just do, like, stuff like that. So I think it's fun to just go with something that I more naturally, um that my voice and my vocal register is inclined to do. But I think, like, the biggest challenge was, and this is very interesting too, because when I started recording, and trying to, like, maybe go for a higher pitched voice, or just younger, the creators, they told me, this was not like a kids show per se. They didn't want me to actually make it too young. And I think, because, again, just my natural register is not, like, super deep and super older. They wanted me to be more mature. And so it was this, like, interesting, like, balance. But the biggest challenge that that was for me, and it was the accent, because when I did the audition, I did like a very strong Brazilian accent, and then I just did one the regular way I speak. But when I got it, I was like, well, I'm gonna, as a Brazilian character, I'm gonna honor Brazil, and then put on this accent, which I did in the beginning. But because I can only go to a very thick Brazilian accent, and so there's a lot of sounds that are not very nice to the American ear, and so they kept telling me to like tone it down, tone it down, tone it down, and then I just decided. I mean, not just me, but as a collective, as I was like going back to, the because the Marvel database was my number one source of information, right? And so knowing that his mother is American, which now in the show, it's I don't know, it could be a little different the way they've been portraying, but I was like,
Yeah.
the informations that I've had at the time, I was like, well, it's an American mother, and so that makes sense that he doesn't even have an accent, because I have a lot of friends, even myself, but a lot of friends who grew up with basically two languages, and so they don't have accents in those languages they grew up with. So
Right.
I was like, there you go, I don't have to. This is an American show, and it's how they've created him. So I started to like tone it down, I kept little things here and there, but that was the biggest thing, to actually find it and then get comfortable with it. And I was very nervous when the premiere happened, because a lot of the beginning stuff that I did, I had a lot of a thick accent, and I was brought back in. I don't know if necessarily for that, but they changed lines and stuff like that, and I was able to re-record it. I was like, oh, I'm happy. But there are other parts, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, I can't remember, because it's over 2 years. I
Oh
lost
wow.
track.
So what's the, if I could set the timeline for people, do you remember what roughly, I guess, month, year you wrapped on this show? Like you were like, last thing to do is this and we are wrapped.
The last. Oh wow. Um, it might have been, because I did a recording session in January. I think it might have been January this year. I
This
can't
year.
remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's been a long journey
Oh, yeah.
with
Yeah.
getting this done.
Or
Oh wow.
definitely like end of last year. It was like just yeah.
Wow. So
And
how
I
flexible, I would say, like how I guess kind of malleable was the whole thing? Like you would go in and record, was it like you got to go in weekly and change this and that, or we did it all in one 4 or 5 hour session? Like was it a lot of coming back and forth? Like how was the
Yeah,
recording
it
process?
was. It wasn't very like for me at least like consistent in the way like every week, or it was very sporadically. Sometimes I would
Mm.
not come back in like 2, 3, 4 months. I don't know if it was like I went like 4 months without recording, but I think so. It feels that way. But in the beginning, I think I had like 3, 4, 5 hour sessions. I can't remember if I did more than one episode at a time. I
Mm.
might have, but certainly, the longer episodes that that Roberto appears, then I think I did have like at least two that I did in a row, like two episodes. Um, so in the beginning I recorded more, and then I was brought back in for like ADR once they had the animatics. Then they changed lines, they changed the script, so I had to do certain parts. Or then I guess just also because of maybe the accent or maybe some things like that, like in certain moments, also because they might have, in the beginning you record without seeing anything, so you just have the script and you're giving different variations on intentions and stuff like that, and then they create the animatics, and then things change, and so
Mm.
come back into like, or even like to lip sync, the that's why literally an ADR happens at times, so it's for different reasons, but it was quite sporadic. I think there was like at the beginning, I was in like, I had 2 sessions or 3 sessions the same week, and then I did like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. I think they get the bulk of the stuff,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
then it's time until they get the animatics and the stuff, and they have other people, and they start to play with the whole thing, and so it takes time for you to get all
So
back.
to give us like a little peek behind the curtains for those of us that are fans, Now, is it scheduling something that's static, or is it kind of like we need you at this time, or they're like, can you get this done between this time frame? Because I
Yeah,
would
it's
imagine,
flexible. It's
okay,
flexible. It's very flexible because again, they have time, like, because the thing takes time anyway, and they know, all of us actors, like, we're recording other things, we have other projects, so it's always like, um they're very flexible, and I have, when I started, the thing was 2022. I finished Time Travelers in 2021. But I went back to New York a lot in 2022, for the I was doing video game motion capture.
mhm.
So I went to New York a lot, and so all my recordings happened in LA, but they were like, "Oh, if we need to bring you in New York, they'll get me in a studio there." And some of the actors are in Canada, so they're doing that anyway. So they're very flexible. They always asked me a range of dates and time, and then they'll schedule. And if things change, because I guess if I have another booking that I think that hasn't happened, but I think they'd be totally cool in, like, changing it.
So another question that I wanted to ask that kind of ties into to everything is what stands out to you about the Sunspot character? Like, what do you see of yourself in him that you provided that didn't necessarily jump off the pages that they give you, the sides and all that?
hmm Um, I think, like, the first thing I've been saying that I've found as a connection, that the similarities, because I always go back to, Meryl Streep said, beautifully, as the goat, that we got to find the similarities in the characters are portrayed, because the differences are a given. So the first thing was the whole, like, language and cultural mixture, right? That I was like, oh, I know this, and again, I gave you guys a little bit of the whole process with the accent, because once you find it, you feel just, oh wow, you kind of finding, like, you'd be feeling more and more confident, more comfortable. Um, and the other thing, that it wasn't so conscious to me, during, but I knew that was part of it. But recently, I was like, wow, that was really what I was, like, tapping into, because though I did not, I didn't have to, like, come out to my mom in the way that he does, or I didn't feel, my parents were very, very loving. I've been very fortunate. I didn't feel like an outsider, and I didn't feel like I wasn't supported, but I definitely had moments, that I could relate to, and also in terms of the history that we don't see as of now. We haven't seen that, portrayed in X-Men 97, but the whole way of how Roberto finds his powers, with the racism, while he's playing soccer and all this stuff. I was like, I fortunately also had never had to experience bullying at that level, in that way, or racism, and stuff like that. But I definitely have been bullied, and in different ways, or felt like through my teen years, left out, or that I didn't belong, actually. So it wasn't a family thing, but other I wasn't enough. There was a lot of that. I mean, and that's a big for a lot of us. But, like, since I started, doing therapy, like, oh my God, it's changed my life, and I understand things so much better. But I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of similarities in there. So I really think it's very special, and I hold on to those, because the other ones, obviously, it's like, I don't know what it is to have superpowers. I don't know what it is to, like,
You don't? Wait a minute. You
You
sure?
hold on, wait a minute. We were expecting you to transform and
Oh,
start
no,
flying
no.
right now.
Damn,
We were expecting
damn.
you to just fly off.
But hold on, Rand, if I could just get one more question, and
All
I
right.
wouldn't be a
Sure.
super fan if I didn't.
Mhm.
So the reunion between your other actor friend Theo James on this show, was that something that you guys like text each other, or were both of you under so many NDAs that you were like, oh snap, we're both on the show? Like,
Yeah, so I'll tell you this interesting story. Theo, it's great and amazing, and we stayed in touch, here and there, very very little. He's so busy and stuff, and since he wrapped and he's been doing so many great work. Oh my God. And but I didn't know until like I don't know when it came out publicly that Theo James was gonna do had a special appearance. So I think it was last year, I don't know, but it was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what? I was obviously so surprised. So I messaged him a couple times and I didn't hear back. And it was so busy filming and all this stuff. And then this year, once I didn't know. And then I found out who he was gonna play. And I, I had recently met, Bo DiMaggio, the writer creator, and so I had taken a photo because he's been attending some of the screenings that's been put up here in LA as Come in Villainy on Wednesdays, and he's been
Mm.
showing up and stuff, and so I sent Theo a photo with Bo, and I was like, oh, look who I'm here with and stuff, and so he replied, and it was like, oh wow, whatever, and he's like, that's cool. Um and I said, yeah, man, I'm excited to see you on the show and stuff like that. And then I think he didn't know. I don't think he actually knew that I was voicing Roberto. I don't know. And then I was like, yeah, man, and
Wow.
by the way, I'm voicing Sunspot, so be careful. And it's like, whoa, congrats, Guy.
Oh, that's great. I was
Oh
wondering how
man.
much you guys got a chance to interact. So hearing those stories are really cool because I mean I'd be correct in assuming everybody records separately, correct? And
Yes, for this,
but
absolutely. Oh yeah,
like no one's together. So has there been a moment where you've been with a number of the cast members, like maybe a
no.
screening or like the
Oh,
premiere
well,
party or anything like that, where you
yes,
guys have got to kind of
we
hang out?
did. Yes, we did have a premiere, which is where I met everybody, and I think most, I mean, for the exception with the OG cast, had known each other. All of us, I think, nobody had met each other before.
Mm.
So we all you met at this, wonderful premiere that they screened 3 episodes the week before is streamed on Disney Plus, and it was incredible. It was amazing. Obviously, the experience. It was at this beautiful theater called El Capitan here in Hollywood, and just watching it on a big screen, full of fans, all dressed up. It was wonderful, but also just to get to meet everybody. It was so cool. Very very cool. But other than that, like I think there was only a couple of recordings. I heard recently that some of my castmates were in the booth together or like in the same studio together. But yeah, the majority of the time. And I thought back in the '90s that's how they did it. But I recently was on a podcast with Kyle Dodd, who voices Wolverine,
Mhm.
and he was telling me us that they started as doing the recordings, everybody in a circle, all the actors, but they quickly realized it didn't work, and so they actually recorded it separately as well. So
That's
Oh,
interesting.
excellent.
I did not know that. Wow, that's cool. I always assume like I don't know, just being a musician, you think like, all right, the energy is there when you're like physically near a person, and so you
Yeah.
can get an idea of conversation.
totally.
But the few voice jobs I've gotten, it's been by myself in a booth. Say it like this, say it like this, say it
Yeah,
like this, say it like this, and say it like this, and that's it. You just say the line a thousand different ways, and
that's it.
then they find the best one, and it's like
Yeah.
that part right there is like true genius to be able to pick through. All right, I got 42 times where you said that's fine, and now I'm gonna get the right one for the moment where he's a little bit annoyed, but it's fine. So being able to pluck that together and make it sound so
Yeah.
cohesive. That's why they get paid the big bucks, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
man.
all right, I got a couple more, and I'm gonna let you go. But I want to just say real quick. I want to ask about fun interactions with the production staff. Is there any moments, or email chains that got like fun, exciting, weird, emotional, like moments where it's like, all right, we're gonna do this, and then you're like, all right, yeah, you come out of it feeling, either a little jazzed up or a little like confused, or we're just like, all right, guys, what's happening? Just a fun
No,
story from
okay,
production.
fun story. No, I mean, I was not in any email chain with anybody. It was just my agent when I recorded. That's it. It was
Okay.
always a jam to show up at the recording studio and see most of or a lot of the production the creators on the Zoom call. But there was one very very cool experience recently on episode 4 that Holly Chow, who voices Jubilee, put together, and she knew it was a big episode for her, but for obviously Sunspot and Jubilee, and also because that was the episode that Allison Court had a really cool moment. So she put together this screening viewing after the one that's been happening as Scum and Villainy, and a lot of the production people showed up, and I met a lot of them in person. So that was super special. And she uh, FaceTimed, Zoomed with Allison Court, who was in, I think, Canada at the time. So she was able to watch with all of us and, digitally, virtually. And that was super special and super nice. And got to meet, two of the writers, the production people there. And yeah, it was super fun.
Oh wow. Okay, that's pretty dope. All right.
Yeah.
I'm probably done, Marcos, but do you have one more to end with?
The one that we promised we wasn't gonna ask, but I'm just gonna ask: is there anything that you could share without Marvel directly pulling you into a vortex and off
Anything
this
that
call?
wouldn't get you in trouble. We definitely don't want to be
Yeah.
the
Like
cause of that.
anything, like are you gonna get a new suit or I don't
No,
know
I'll
something.
tell. Okay, I'll tell you this because this. I mean, I love saying this because I don't have to lie or anything. But guys have to understand. I actually don't know. I don't know, and people have been like posting, obviously, Twitter, Instagram, with this last clip that you see, just half of the body. People's like, "This is Sunspot. This is Sunspot," with the old school suit. Like, who
Mhm.
is that? Who is that? And people have been saying like, "This is Sunspot." Like, I literally don't
And you're
know
like, I don't
because
know.
we don't want, like, I don't and first, like, I only see my scenes, and secondly, there were a lot of moments where I never actually uh re-recorded my lines to pictures, so I never saw them.
Okay.
So I'm being a very, very, just as surprised as all of you. And I would just use, like, I've been so, I watched it this morning, and I, been, seeing what people are saying on Twitter. It's been trending number, I don't know right now, but earlier today it was trending number 1 on Twitter again.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the words that Bo has put on Twitter and on the gram, that 8, 9, and 10 are his, like, masterpieces, and are, like, just gonna, like, top number 5, which people are like, oh my god, how is that even possible?
Yeah,
And
not
I
possible.
think and I think number 8 already, like, has been, like, pushing the envelope. So look, I just think
Yeah,
all of us are in for another treat. And yeah, it's just like we got to keep watching and being surprised.
for sure. I enjoy being surprised. We're wrestling fans. So when we watch, we're used to, like, expecting the unexpected. And also a good swerve is always
Yes,
a good
yes.
thing. So I
Very
enjoy it.
nice.
We've been big fans of watching Bo's Twitter, like the things the nuggets he gives out
Yeah,
are so
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
So it's been great to watch, and I just want to again thank you for being a part of it and doing your thing, man. You are killing it. And so we look forward to more and more and bigger and better and greater. And we're fans. So we
Yeah.
will certainly be watching.
And
Thanks.
hopefully next season we have you on again.
Hey, I would love to.
Congratulating you
I hope so too.
on your
I hope so
project
too.
and everything. So before we let you go, uh, tell us where we could find you. Tell us, where we could search your projects out. Let us know. We want to support. We support people that support our community too.
You
Mhm.
guys are amazing. It's been really a joy. Like, you guys are so fun to talk to. I love the energy. I feel like is calming and vibrating at the same time. It's so awesome. So thank you so much for having me. I'm mostly on Twitter at Gui Agustini 1, It's AGU. It's not Agustini. It's Agustini AGU. Gui Agustini one, and also at the same handle for Twitter. I'm not really. No, now I'm a little bit more on Twitter, but I had been like I'm not very active on Twitter. So you can find me on Instagram. Hit me up. And I try to be, as active as I can. I think the community is so amazing, and I've been meeting a lot of people. If you're in LA, every Wednesday there's been, a screening at Scum and Villainy open to the public, which is really cool. A lot of fans are coming and supporting, and I've been going every week. This
That's
is really
awesome.
cool. I like to see it, with the community and, in the bigger screen, incredible audio, right? Because I mean, the sound design, I mean, Newton Brothers and just like the whole
Yeah.
the score, but the sound design and stuff is just incredible. So it's so riveting to watch with great sound. And yeah, I post as much as I can about my projects. Once we get into festivals, I have a short that I did at the end, right after Time Traveler's Wife, at the end of 2021, called To the End, and we didn't get into Tribeca. It's okay. It was expected, but it's a really, cool little project that we're now had submitted to several festivals. So we'll see when the premiere happens. I'll definitely, I'll be posting a teaser very soon, and whenever we have that news, that's going to be out there. Hopefully, we screen in New York and Los Angeles. But yeah, so yeah, I share all my stuff on Instagram. I was last week. I had done earlier this year an episode on the new CBS show called Elsbeth, and I played a professional tennis player, which is how I got into acting in a way, but it was my first passion. I wanted to be a professional tennis player. I came from sports. And so it was very like, though, those in the network TV, it was super, super awesome. The experience was amazing. And
That's
I
really
was super
cool.
proud to, to play that role. And I'll be sharing that as well. But, Elsbeth is very, Carrie Preston is so funny, phenomenal. And they just got renewed for second season. They were also
Nice.
very high on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, it's been
Well,
a
definitely
joy.
check
All
that
right.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, we
Thank
will
you
be
guys so,
watching.
so much. And thanks for your
Thank you.
passion. Thanks for the
We're gonna
vibe. And
Thank you.
Yes, of course. We're gonna be following and staying in touch. We're gonna talk the rest of the show. So this is a part that you don't necessarily have to be here for because we're gonna
But if
like
you want, hey,
gonna
the
dig
more
in. So, but this is usually the part where we kind of we break the show down and then give our our takes on the
okay.
show. But
Okay.
Guy, I just want to thank you so much for being here. You're the best. I'm gonna put you in the waiting room, so if you need to
Okay.
leave, you can absolutely do that. But
Appreciate it. I have to
thank
get
you
going,
again.
unfortunately. But if not, I would
All right,
stay and like get, the breakdown that you guys will do.
thank
But
you. All right, well, we'll tag you when this goes up on all the sites.
please,
And thank you
amazing.
again for your time.
You're
All
welcome.
right, take
have a
care,
good
man.
one.
All right. Bye bye.
Peace. All right. Well, that was fun. That was Gui Agustini. And
Yeah, yeah, he's cool, man.
double
I
shout
mess
out
with him.
to Scum and Villainy, great bar. I got a chance to go over there when we did the song for Clerks. That is also, that's where Kevin Smith has a lot of his screenings as well. Great
Okay,
bar.
name drop. I love it.
A
Love
little
it.
bit of a name drop. I wanted to wait till the celebrity was out of the room for the name drop. I'm trying to flex, but I happen to know Kevin Smith. But anyway, yeah, so that's a really dope bar. It's like the really fun like nerd bar, and I got to hang out there for Clerks 3 and when we did the premiere and all that stuff. But anyway, let's jump into it, man. I got like 10 minutes. I want to break this down as
Let's do it. Let's
quickly
do
as I
it.
can and just jump into it, man. Episode 8 is out now. It is called Tolerance is Extinction. I just want
So
to
what are
talk
we going to
about,
name ours though?
I don't know. We could call it OZT. I don't know.
OZT? Oh, we can surprise. Give you some
We'll
time to
surprise
marinate
you
on
on that. We'll get some time. But I just want to talk about I feel like they did a really good job with laying out really who Bastion is and how he came to be with a lot of his background and his plans for the world. I thought were good. And they always manage to pace these episodes so well where they never really feel like they're rushing things to get into it. But there are two epic moments in this episode that I got to talk about before anything else. And to me, it's and one of them was in the preview, the summer's family vacation, where they all get going. First they're on the Blackbird, another Blackbird gets shot down. But don't worry, we got a Porsche that just jets out the back. License plate says Slim for your boy Scott. I mean, this is just so epic. I mean,
that could have been a standalone episode, like this entire thing.
Totally. This is like the action moment, the Fast and the Furious moment of a big Hollywood blockbuster.
Family.
Where they out, they're literally family, and they out there shooting down on the zombies. Such a great moment. First one before that is finally my boy Logan. This gets his chance to shine.
Oh man, Logan, like he was like, "Nah, son, we gonna do this," and I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he did it with our man Nightcrawler.
And with Nightcrawler, we were saying like, "Oh, Nightcrawler's been kind of laid back," but he immediately jumps into action. 3 swords.
He's like, nah, not 6 reasons, 9 reasons. Let's do this.
Let's go. Wolverine gets busy. It was a amazing scene. I watched it like 4 times. I was like, hold up, I gotta rewind that back. That was dope.
Bro, I watched that episode 3 times and I'm gonna watch it after we're done here. It was amazing. Like,
that was so good, man. Like when you got a large cast like this, man, everybody has their time to shine is so kind of limited, but also they have to make the most of it when it does happen. So Wolverine has been playing the back, like a quip here and there, but just playing the back, chilling, being a smart ass, and then finally he decides to let them claws loose. And
but he kind of there was like Easter eggs about this was happening. When my man slashed the monitor, you knew it was game time. He was like, nah.
Yeah, he had enough. It's like, nah, bro. So I mainly just wanted to point out those 2 points, but there's so much good stuff in this episode. I want to shout out my man Priest, who said, you've heard of Elf on the Shelf, but in this episode we get Magneto.
Oh my God, in a Speedo.
That might be the name of the episode. I don't know.
Oh man, there was a Magneto. The whole thing. It got to be the whole thing. You heard of Elf on the Shelf? Get ready for Magneto in a Speedo. First of all, like the fact that he didn't say anything until his time, like time and time again. Like the one thing that I do love about X-Men 97 is that they show true powers and the true significance of each character. Like, think about how hard the X-Men were fighting just to like stay alive. And your man came in like, boop, everybody off.
Everybody got to go. They said the 3 words. They said the thing. Every episode, there is a Leo moment where I'm like, and here it is. They say Magneto was right. Yep. And he spends seven episodes trying to change, trying to be a good man, trying to do the right thing. And then he was like, you know what? F y'all. Nah, it's on. And then we see his true power, which to me, I was like, dang, he's OP like that. Like
it's not OP, it's just right P, as they Oh, please don't clip that.
Oh God. Yeah, that's a good quote there. But I was like, I didn't know. Like, maybe I wasn't really sure about the full extent of Magneto's power. But this dude sends shockwaves that literally the entire universe feels. And I'm talking Marvel universe as well, where you see Spidey looking up like, oh, snap.
Everybody's like, huh? What was that? Huh?
You know what I mean? So this is just wow for him to be like, you know what? I tried and it's over now. Like I changed. I did what I got to do.
He had his John Wick moment when they kept saying like, hey man, I thought you was retired. He's like, I guess I'm not. I guess I'm back. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's back.
And I love that Wolverine made it so it was kind of like, all right, just want to let you know, Nightcrawler, not that he declared war. Not that he's back. He didn't save us. He declared war.
Yeah, they had to make sure to stay the line. Like, it wasn't like, oh, he said, yeah, Magneto's doing what he does. Like, oh, like turning evil? Nah, declaring war. Like, nah, it's on. Like, I love that they had to make sure to say that, because it was like, what does he do? Like, no, what, nah.
Yeah, this ain't, we're gonna rebuild this. Like, nah.
It's like, I'm done. And Drizzy mentioned it too. I love that they didn't give him any sort of voiceover monologue. It was just enough. Like, I'm done. Like, that's all. The emotion in this show is just so well done. I mean, we got possibly last episode Rogue going dark, and then we got Magneto going all the way. It's just like these aren't, and I saw somebody say it, and I was like, this is so true. The X-Men are not superheroes.
Mhm.
And I think that part has to completely be understood, is that
Yep.
the X-Men are not superheroes. These are people who are different, who are trying to use this being different in a positive way, but they're
Yep.
mostly trying to adjust to a world that, like I say in the intro, hates and fears them. So that doesn't make you a superhero. It just makes you somebody that's different, that's in this world trying to get by.
And
So
it's amazing, man. Like honestly, this episode stirred up so many emotions. Like I kind of don't like. I love the fact that they gave us the iconic line at the end. To me, my X-Men, and it was like, oh, like I got excited. But then part of me was like, don't interfere with Magneto. Like, this ain't a time for peace.
You might need to fall back because you know, let this happen. You put him in charge. You tried to do it, and now look where we are. Like, let him handle it. If you really trusted him, then
you got to use those resources to help him. I don't care what it is. It's like we here now. Like I done turned the other cheek so many times. Both sides of my face are red. Like, you can't do this no more.
Nah, man. That was beautiful, man. The cameos were amazing. Seeing Omega Red, man, I'm so excited about where this could possibly go. And I don't know where it's going right now, but man,
first of all,
we saw Dr. Doom, we saw Baron Zemo. Man, so good.
Them cats were the buyers. They were the buyers that were like, we need this tech. But can we talk about the fact that, you know, to bring into pop culture, how Bastion used a Drake move and kind of like leaked a tape, and everybody's like, oh, so the mutants were lying about Professor X. Like, you see, that's what I told y'all. Y'all.
You got to use any warfare at your disposal. He's like, all right, well, basically, if I could turn the people against them, you know, then my job will be so much easier.
Yep.
I love it. The cameos, I'm wondering if this is going to lead into, are they going to bring these people back for the next couple episodes, or is this just like planting them into the story?
I think it's sprinkling of the seeds. I think
they're there. You know they exist. You know they know what's going on. Now, how will they, you know, interact at some point? So I'm excited to see it, man. All right, let's
get the review.
I know we flew through it, but we got to review this one. And this time I'm gonna go first.
Go ahead.
Oh God, what do I say here?
You're on the spot.
All right, I'm gonna give this one a 9. I think because I came into this episode, not knowing or caring about Bastion, and they've managed to make me aware of him and now interested in him. So I'm going to say a 9 for this episode. This is right behind 5 for me, but barely. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the second favorite episode, I think.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I don't know if this is the first time we agree with the same same score. I'm gonna give it a 9 because I still think episode 5 edges this out. But, you know, I feel so bad for my dog, PJ. Shout out, PJ. Because every time I get so emotional with an episode, I start hitting my coffee table and he just looks at me like, starts shaking. But this was a banger of an episode. Like, it was like, all I kept thinking, like, man, X-Men 97, to quote the Seamus, is banger after banger after banger. And like, I can't go higher because I know the last 2 episodes are gonna top the one we just saw.
I mean, Bo said it like, put on your seatbelts because you ain't ready. He said, man, I set the table and said, you're not ready for this finale. Like, and this man, you don't say that kind of stuff unless you're really sure, because this show has very high expectations at this point. And he said it's just gonna get crazier from here. So I'm here for it, and luckily so are you. This
Yeah.
is XPod 97, baby.
Yes.
All right. We are out of here for this week. I want to thank Guy for coming by, the voice of Sunspot, and so much more. Go look him up as Surfer Dude and Spider-Man is Amazing Friends as well.
Yep, 2 episodes.
Yeah. And also the Time Trapper's wife and Elspeth. Yes. Look him up there and support him. Tell him you found him through the XPod. And shout out to the Geekscape Network, as always, for holding us down. Do us a favor and please give us 5 stars, rate us, tell a friend that you love us.
Buy merch. Look at this nice hoodie.
I'm gonna put merch links below because you all got to get as fresh as us, because our first live event is happening this summer and it's going to be at BlurredCon. So there's going to be more information on that as well.
Oh, snap.
Join the revolution, y'all. It is XPod 97 and we are out like Magneto.
Peace. Go Knicks.
Yeah.
Got him.
We out, folks.
Later.